Okay, so today is September 9th, 2005, and we are in the library at the Gaelic American Club in Fairfield, Connecticut. And Peg O'Leary is taking notes. Kevin Collins is filming. I'm Hillary Correda. I'm asking the questions. And you are?
Mary Orazieeti.
Okay. Can you spell your name for me, just for the record?
The last part,
Yes, please.
Orazietti.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And what was your maiden name?
Mary Catherine Hughes.
And where were you born?
I was born in Roscommon, raised in Leitrim,
Okay. Where in
Bornacoola.
Warnacoola?
Yeah.
And where is that in Roscommon?
Oh no, that's in Leitrim.
That's in Leitrim.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I was born in Munionbeg, Rooski, County Roscommon. There's it's like a river Shannon that divides Leitrim, Roscommon and Leitrim and Longford. It's where the three counties meet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you born at home or in the hospital?
Oh, I was born at home. No such a thing as a hospital then.
Okay. How many siblings did you have? Did you have any?
I had 3 brothers.
And where is your place in the birth order?
I'm the oldest, and then my brother Jim, who lives in Ireland, is the second. And my brother Tom lives in Greenwich, England. He's the third. And my brother John is the fourth. He lives in Kent, England.
Okay. Why were you given your name?
Well, Mary was my grandmother, and Catherine was my mother's middle name.
And do you have a nickname?
Just MC. Some call me MC, or,
Okay.
really no nickname. Some would call me Maura Koch, which is the Gaelic for Mary Catherine.
Do you speak Gaelic?
I used to years ago, but not anymore. A few words here and there, but that's about it.
Can you tell me some of the words that you would always say in Gaelic?
Well, Katie Wilthu.
Which is?
Katie Wilthu, how are you? Good Lord, I forgot. My mind went blank.
Is the area where you were born a Gael-talked area?
No, when we went to school years ago, we had to speak the Gaelic. And God help you if you didn't. The schoolmaster was terrible. I went to school with Albert Rillans, the Taoiseach. I think I told you that before.
You did. You told me
Yeah.
you brought a picture as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
My brothers and I went to school with him.
And what was the name of the school where you went to school with him?
We went to school, it's Rooski, in Rooski, County Roscommon, until my mother got very ill. She had an appendicitis and it ruptured. And in those days, I mean, the hospital facilities or whatever, they weren't as good as they are today. But thanks be to God, she pulled through. And then when she got better, my father had passed away prior to this. And when my mother got better, my grandmother, who lived in Leitrim, where my mother came from, which was 3 miles away, she said, why don't you come over and live with us? And you can forget about the farming, because it was rough on her, trying to do things, milk cows and whatever, So she put the farm out on 11 months, which is like a lease here. And then we went over and lived with my grandmother, and we went to school in Bornacoola.
I see.
And finished up there.
And what were your grandparents' names?
My grandparents, well, of course, on my father's side, Hughes, and my mother's side, Midlin.
Okay.
Yeah. He was the creamery, my grandfather was the creamery manager at the creamery down in Bornacoola.
I see. And what were your parents' names, too? I didn't ask you that.
My father's name was Patrick Hughes, and my mother's name was Bridget Catherine Midlin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you describe your childhood home, since you had 2 that you're telling me about?
Well, when we lived in Roscommon, over in Munionbeg, we had a thatched house. Everybody did then. It wasn't a big house, by no means. We were average people, and it was thatched.
When you, so, you mean a thatched house or
Thatched house.
Oh, a thatched house. How?
Yeah, thatched roof.
I see.
Yeah.
And if you were standing on the front stoop of this house and looking out the door, what would you have seen?
Another house across the street, thatched.
And was it a farm?
Yeah, we lived on a farm. There were mainly all farmers around there in that area.
Okay. And when you moved to Leitrim, what was it like where you were living?
When we moved to Leitrim, it was a slated house my grandparents had. And my grandfather had passed away and my uncle had passed away, so there was just my grandmother there and a dog.
And this was in a neighborhood, or was this also a farm? Or?
There was farmers around. We didn't have much land then. We did afterwards. Not there, but they didn't have much land. But my brothers, as they grew older, they bought farms and different things.
I see. Okay. What is your earliest memory?
Of what? Anything?
Of anything.
My father dying.
And how old were you?
5.5.
Ah.
Yeah.
And do you remember what the funereal customs were like when he died?
You were laid out in the house, and you had, I believe he had a brown habit on. And I do remember my mother crying and carrying on because he was ill. He had pneumonia, and in those days there was really no cure that I know of for pneumonia. And I remember my mother going to the small village and bringing home oranges and bananas and things, and she brought him up an orange, and then we were in the room with him, and she told us to leave the room and let him rest. And an hour later she went up and he was dead. That's my earliest memory of something sad happening. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a terrible
It was. And then, of course, we weren't allowed to go to the removal. My mother went with the family and that, and then they had to come back by the house in order to go to the cemetery. They didn't call it a cemetery then. They called it a graveyard. And so we were inside, with someone, a neighbor watching us, and we saw him go by in the hearse. And in those days, it was a horse and a hearse.
And was there a wake outside of the home?
Oh, no, the wake was in the house.
In the house?
Yes, the wake was in the house. So I remember that very vividly.
And what, can you remember what was going on at the wake?
Not really. No, not really. I remember people coming in and, staying there, and I guess they had eats or whatever, but I don't honestly remember.
Okay.
My brother the youngest one was 14 months, and I was 5.5, and there was 2 in between.
Your father must have been a very young man.
Yeah, he was. He got pneumonia, and it was troubled times too. So I don't really know what happened. All I know is he died of pneumonia.
Switching to a different kind of subject, as a child, what did you do for fun?
Oh, we had dancing. We had Irish. My mother sent us for dancing classes, Irish dancing. And, of course, we played the usual games kids play.
Can you remember any of those?
Oh, Tig was, touching, you're it, whatever. We called it Tig. I don't remember. Oh, climbing trees. That I remember because my brother broke his collarbone.
Uh-huh.
And we had swings, tires of cars or whatever, or trucks. They call them lorries over there. And we'd sit in those and swing back and forth in a tree. And we played. I don't remember the other games we played. If my brothers were here, they'd remember.
Can you remember any rhymes or anything like that?
Not really, I forgot them.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
What kinds of toys did you have? Did you have dolls or?
I had one doll in my life, and that came from my aunt in America. And we had plastic ducks that we had a little pond out in the back, and we'd put the ducks in, and of course we'd use your finger, push them around, swimming in that. And we had a football. My brothers had a football. I can't remember anything else.
Did you play football?
Oh, we were kids. Sure we did.
And how about camogie? Did you play camogie?
No. We weren't allowed as girls to play with the boys as far as camogie or hurling or anything like that. They played their own games. You know.
Okay. As a child, did you have any favorite foods or meals?
No, you ate what you got.
Can you remember some of the things that you got?
Oh yeah, we had great bacon in those days. It wasn't like the bacon here. And my mother would cook the cabbage and the bacon, and she put turnips in and potatoes and all that. We liked that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was good. And of course she made boxty.
Can you tell me about boxty?
Well, that's, you grate the potatoes, peel the potatoes and grate them on a grater, and with the flour, and she'd put an egg in there and mix it up, salt or whatever, pepper, whatever.
Do you ever make those things now?
I haven't made it in years, no, because only myself.
When your children were home?
When the children were home, yeah. Used to make those, yeah.
Okay. Did your children like it?
They did. Well, they ate what they got. I brought them up the same as my mother did. You eat what you get. My Jimmy, you can ask Jimmy when you talk to him. He didn't like peas. Oh, he hated peas. So I say to him, well, that's the only vegetable we have, so you're going to have to eat it. You know, along with whatever, potatoes and meat and whatever, beef, roast beef or whatever. Well, one day in the kitchen, this smell, I couldn't get it out of my head. I said, what in the name of God is that? So I checked all the drawers and checked the cabinets and everything. Nothing. But we had a table that had a drawer in it. And when he wouldn't eat the peas, he'd stick the peas in the drawer. So that's where the smell was coming from. So you can tell him I said so. And I think there was another one of them, too, that used to put the peas in there. But he was one of them.
That's cute.
And, of course, you know, when they were little and that, my mother-in-law taught me how to cook Italian food, lasagnas and spaghettis and all that. So they never had, like, a consistency of potatoes and your meat and your vegetables or that. We'd have the lasagnas with the salad and the Italian bread, you know, so.
And you said you got used to the tomato sauces and everything.
Oh, I loved it. Like I said, I love it today.
Do you still cook Italian for yourself?
For myself, yeah.
Wow.
Of course, Jimmy now is a great cook. He loves cooking. He loves turnips. So whenever they have a meal, and especially around Thanksgiving or Christmas, he has to have his turnips. He loves turnips. Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any special remedies that you ate when you were sick when you were back in Ireland?
I don't ever remember being sick, really. My mother always gave us, in the spring and in the fall, sulfur and treacle mixed together. And one was supposed to thin out your blood, and one was supposed to, I don't know, thicken your blood, I guess, or whatever. But we got that. And I don't remember ever being sick. Honestly.
Sounds like it worked.
Well, oh, and she gave us cod liver oil and Scott's emulsion.
How often did you get those?
Oh, too often. The cod liver oil I couldn't stand. So she used to put a little bit of salt on there, so we'd take it. But that's about it.
Okay. Let's see. Can you tell me about your school?
The grammar school?
Well, you can start with the grammar school and go up if you'd like.
Oh yeah, in Ruski, we had tough teachers. Our Gaelic teacher was one of these that wouldn't think twice. Master Ward was its name. Wouldn't think twice in belting you one if you missed out and if you didn't know your Gaelic, the subject that they had set up for that particular day. You didn't know it, you'd belt you one. And we had a Master Castellan too in Ruski who would also do the same thing. But we had a wonderful teacher, a Miss Cryan. She was for the lower classes. And she was wonderful. She never hit us or anything, you know. So then when we went to school in Bornacoola, we had the teachers, Master Comboy, Mrs. Diffley and Master Comboy, they were very good. Of course, we were, the teachers in Ruski had petrified us. So when we got over there and they were so easy, we were already, drilled into studying. So when we got over there, we got out of class and we come home and do whatever chores we had to do. And then my mother would say, well, now whatever you have to do to study, go and do it. So we never really got hit over there because we were way ahead of the game. Because in Ruski you got hit. So you better know your lessons.
And these were the public schools?
Yeah.
National schools?
National schools, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Things have changed now?
Oh, God, yes. You don't, it's just like here. You wouldn't lay a hand on anyone.
That's good.
Yeah.